Hello everyone, welcome to my new video. So in this video we will be discussing about various types of trade agreements that we have. So I'm bringing this video because right now India is having trade agreements with various other countries where it is discussing which type of agreement it wants to have with that country and which products it would like to be there in that country. And also it is asking for investment for all these agreements that we are talking about, for having investment, for having trade benefits. Certain terms are being used. For example, free trade agreement, preferential trade agreement, CESA that we have with UAE, framework, early harvest scheme is also a common term. So in order to know what are the characteristics of all these trade agreements and what do they actually mean, we should know how they are different from each other and what is covered in each of these agreements. So let's get started. The first one is free trade agreement. So in a free trade agreement, it is an agreement between two or more countries where you provide preferential trade terms to the other country, which means that you provide them with trade concessions. So here how it is done is that a negative list of products and services is prepared, and it is said that while going forward the whatever agreement we will have, it won't be applicable on this list of products and services. That's how a free trade agreement is established, and hence it's a more comprehensive because you have already listed that at least these are the things which are not going to be get benefited from these trade agreements. Now while doing the preferential trade agreement, the it becomes opposite of free trade agreement. So here you provide them with a positive list of goods and services which the trade agreement's conditions will be applied to. And these products and services in the positive list, they will be applicable to they will be eligible for reduction in tariffs, or the tariffs can be even further down to zero. So that's how a preferential trade agreement is formed. And how it actually comes into effect is that once you reduce the tariffs to particular products from one's country, then the importers would like to import the products from that particular country because it will be cheaper for them. So that's why the importers will give a preference to those products from those countries, except importing it from any other country. So that's how a preferential trade agreement comes into effect. For example, I'm able to recall that there was a agreement between India and UK in which we signed this preferential trade agreement, through which we were able to gain more market access for our pharmaceuticals and agricultural products. And the same happened with UK, whatever commodities they wanted to have greater market access to in India. So that's how a preferential trade agreement works. Now, Now the next one is Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. So this type of agreement has the widest coverage. So till now we were talking about reducing the tariffs on products and services. Now here we are expanding the horizon, and now we will be talking about regulatory aspect as well. So in CEPA we also consider the regulatory aspect of the trade that is going to be established and that will be there in the agreement. And apart from this, it also covers the negotiation on trade and services and investment. So if government wants to give a push to any specific sector in the economy, then it also invites the investment from outside towards that sector. So recently, we have seen that Canada was the country the finance minister approached to, so that it can invest in specific sectors in India. So that this type of agreement, if it enters into, this comes under Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. And the third one is consider negotiation on trade facilitation, custom cooperation, competition, and IPR. So IPR has to deal with patent rights. So it also deals with patent rights, competition, and trade in services and investment. So this has the widest coverage, and the three reasons we have seen is: first is a regulatory aspect, second is trade in services and investment, so the investment in sectors that it wants to give push to, and the third is the competition, the patent rights, etc. So these three things are covered in Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. It has the widest coverage. Now next comes Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. So this type of agreement is not as comprehensive as CEPA, and it usually covers only the trade tariffs and TQR rates. That's why, since it also doesn't consider the regulation, the investment, the facilitation, patent rights, etc., so it becomes less comprehensive than CEPA. So these are the four main agreements that we have seen, and most of the agreements take place in these four categories. However, there are certain agreements which are a precursor to all these four, which is FTA, PTA, CEPA, and CESA. So the precursor to these four agreements are Framework Agreement and Early Harvest Scheme. So what are these? So in Framework Agreement, we define the scope and provision of orientation. So we say that this is the scope and provision that we would like to discuss in the upcoming agreement, and in which products, what will be the area of discussion, what is the future period that we are aiming. For example, we are aiming to regulate an agreement for a period of 5 years, which starts from this to this. So it sets a framework before the discussion actually begins. So it gives both the party an idea regarding what will be there in the agreement itself. So this is called framework agreement as it provides a framework. Now next is early harvest scheme. So this term is usually seen whenever a trade agreement is going to be established. For example, while we were doing it with UK, this early harvest scheme was very much prevalent in the articles itself. So it's a precursor to any type of agreement, be it FTA, CESA or CEPA, between two trading partners. And at this stage, the countries identify the products which they want to have liberalization over. So by tariff liberalization, you mean tariff reduction, so that your products can have greater market access, or you can have investments in specific sectors by that country. So that is what is done in early harvest scheme. So here we start talking about, for example, India would like to have greater market access in UK to the products. Which will be that product? Maybe agricultural, pharmaceuticals, because these are the products it gives a push to. It wants a greater market access to. It sees a demand over there. So this is what is done in early harvest scheme, and it is also a step towards enhanced engagement and confidence building, because once you know that the other country is interested in having an agreement with your country, and it wants to have a trade agreement which will give the market access to your products as well, that's where the confidence starts building in the other country. So it's also a main crucial step towards confidence building. So these are all the terms and agreements that you would like to know at the current point of time. However, there are certain more agreements that India is currently on going through, which are Global System of Trade Preferences, Asia Pacific Trade Agreement, and India Mercosur PTA. So these agreements are not much prevalent right now, but as and when we progress, if there will be need to, we will be discussing about it. So before going, I would like to have a question with you. So why do we need FTAs or PTAs when we can conduct our operation, we can import or export from any country we want? So we would like to have a trade agreements because it would give us an opportunity, a beneficial treatment to our products if we have greater market access to other countries. So we know that we at the end we have to import the essentials from one country or the other. But what if we have an agreement with that country, and in return we ask them to give preferential rights to our products as well? So it becomes beneficial for both the countries to enter into agreement and establish a mutual understanding. So that's why trade agreements have come into place and have gained attraction. So this is all you would like to know about trade agreements, their characteristics, their differentiation. And if this video has helped you, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you want to join my Telegram group, the link is in description. Thank you so much.